Hey everybody, this is Dr. Lakita, and I am so excited to be coming to you just for a few moments to talk about something that is very near and dear to me. One of the things that I'm going to be sharing today is called the power of mental transitions. And I'm asking all of us, as I've asked my own self, to just shift it. So just can you think about that for just a second? The power of mental transitions. Just shift it. Every day we are constantly changing our minds every single day. But what becomes a problem is when we are not making the necessary mental transitions that we should in order to be all that we need to be. And just for a few moments, if you would indulge me, I would like to speak from the thought and to explore the power of mental transitions. As each of you guys are aware, transitions help us all to better organize ourselves so that we are able to achieve goals that we have set out. When we are in that process of going through a transition, it means that a level of dedicated effort, consistency, and discipline is used in order to acquire the kinds of results that you need. That level of transition happens because one person decides to make a connection and or to do something else in order to bridge the gap from where they are to where they know they need to be. When you and I discover and think about all the different things that we've had in our lives, every life instance and every circumstance, it always showed a level of transition. The thing that I'm trying to get us to understand and to be really, really clued in about is the fact that when we are mentally transitioning and when we have the ability to transition, essentially transitions always, always, always are indicative of change. Can you say that? My transition, the transition is always going to be indicative of change. And while we sometimes don't really care for or don't really like the fact that we must change, change only happens when what you know is no longer good enough. That's a quote that I live by that I came up with many, many years ago. And I'll say it again. Change only happens when what you know is no longer good enough. And so if our lives are to live up to the potential, the value, and the worth that I believe that God has intended for us to have, then we must mentally transition. And in order to do that, we must make an effort to commit to some level of change. Basically, what I'm actually really trying to say to all of us, and this is really, really important, is in order to win in this life, in order to be able to be powerful, you must prioritize the way in which you see transitions and change in your life, and to look at the power behind the psychology of making those necessary changes. The understanding of change can be very difficult, especially in times that we live in when there's so much uncertainty about many different things. But I believe that there are a few points that I would like to share with you that will help you to better ground yourself as you're making whatever transitions you need to make, ultimately making the types of change that you absolutely need to. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. When you and I have things going on in our lives, there are a few things that we need to consider. When things happen in our life, there are three things that we always do when things happen in our lives. We commit to it, which means we commit to the memory of that thing, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. We commit to it. We rehearse it. We rehearse that thing, constantly singing what has happened over and over in our head. And the third thing that we do is we use it. We use what we have gone through in our lives to make us better. Now, in each of those instances, the inability to transition well or to make change in our thoughts is that likened of someone who is imprisoned, who is not only imprisoned physically, but unable to think clearly while beyond and behind the physical bars. But here are a few steps that I would like for you to take note of as you powerfully mentally transition and just shift it. Shift it, shift it, shift it. Shift your life. I had to shift my life because I was living a life as a teenager in some kind of way. My head was in a different kind of space. I had a whole lot of things going on. But when I powerfully mentally transitioned my thoughts from a loser to being a winner, I became what I thought. A winner. And everything that you and I do all of our habits, and all of those things are built upon the fact that we thought about a thing, and not only just thought about it, but we believed in the thing. So here are a few things I want you to consider when transitioning mentally from one space to the next. Number one, you have to always ask yourself, how does it help me? How does it help me? So whatever you're going through, whatever comes up in your life, the first question, how does it help me? How does it hinder me? You've got to ask yourself that question. This is number one. How does it help me? How does that thing that just happened to me help me be better? Okay. Number two, you have to ask yourself, if I remain stuck, will I be able to grow that will match the potential I'm supposed to get to? If I remain stuck, will I be able to grow to match the potential of where I'm supposed to? Number three, everything in this life can be seen as a lesson learned or a life consequence. You've got to understand that everything in this life can be seen as a lesson learned or a life consequence in which you become full of disparaging thoughts and just overwhelmed by the mere notion that, quote unquote, something else has happened to you in your life. Number four, you ask yourself, am I being my very best self? When we have to transition mentally, it's usually because something has happened, something is going to happen, something is constantly happening. So if we don't make those kinds of transitions, then guess what? We are not going to be our best self. And our best self requires that we're constantly willing and able to make the necessary changes in our lives. That's super duper critical. All right. And number five, has the learned behavior served me well? Have I learned that once I rehearse and commit to this particular thought process, will it serve me well? The power of transitioning mentally is super duper important because it actually tells us whether or not you have the capacity to change. That's one. But the capacity to handle more abundance and more things in your life. When we cannot transition mentally, then we are saying that I can only handle a certain amount of whatever. And I'm trying to help you to stretch and to make sure that you have the capacity to handle all the things that you think you want to handle in this life. And that's really critical because some people have already realized they don't really want any more than what they got going on. And that's okay if that's you. But I want to encourage you that there's more. There is more. So as I shared with you about how to powerfully transition mentally, I wanted to just give you those thoughts and those questions so that you can begin to ask yourself and begin to look at what are the ways in which you need to shift your mindset and your thoughts. I really, really hope that this has been beneficial for you to be able to consider all the things that you need to do in order to make your life better. My job is just to help you to win and to win at life better. That's all I want you to do. Win at life better. I am motivationally inspired, spiritually empowered in order to help you move and live better. And in helping you do this, I want you to make sure that if you need to, reach out to us. We have a multiplicity of programs that will assist you in a variety of areas. You can reach out to us. Go to our website, www.mhicnow.org. That's one of our sites. Our other site is www.lakitalong.org. Both of these sites will give you resourceful information that would allow you to move from one place to the other. But I've got something really incredible getting ready to happen, and I want you to register. Happening today. Absolutely today, which is super duper exciting. As a gift, I am giving back the wonderful 90-minute powerful webinar course called The Power of Us. Being able to collaborate with creative minds, culturally and prophetically shifting your whole entire life. And I wanted to be able to share that. And you can go and register at powerofuswebinar.eventbrite.com. powerofuswebinar.eventbrite.com. It's just for today. Make sure that you're able to get on. It starts at 5 o'clock p.m. 5 o'clock p.m. for 90 minutes. It's going to be powerful. There's only a few seats that's available. And all of my books are on Amazon. They're also on my website. So you can feel free to go ahead and look at my book, Starting Over and Loving It, When Believers Become Depressed. A variety of Change Your Life, the 90-Day Experience. A variety of different books that will constantly help you, as they have helped me, to powerfully transition and make the mental transitions necessary in order for me to be my best self. I pray that you have learned something, that you've been enhanced, encouraged, and inspired. Remember, obstacles are things that are seen when you take your eyes off your goals. Much blessings to you. I'm Dr. Lakita, and until the next time, remember, you're worth everything good that's coming to you and that you're willing to go after. Much love and God bless.